If I go to Subway and I order a $5 footlong and it costs $5 and I give you $4.75, what do you owe me? That's right, a sandwich. Or I guess a quarterback. I want to rank my top 12 quarterbacks in tiers and where you should be comfortable drafting them at. Let's go. So in fantasy football, running backs and receivers are really the hype and the glamour of the sport, but quarterbacks and tight ends matter just as much. Finding you a diamond in the rough at the quarterback position or finding late round value is just as good as drafting a number one running back. So I want to rank my top 12 quarterbacks, and I'm going to put them in two different tiers. Tier 1 is your league winners. That's your top studs. That's the guys that have no bust potential, and they can win you weeks on a week-to-week basis. Tier 2 are the guys that I'm still comfortable with. Those are the guys I would wait for in the draft, see who you feel comfortable picking and what falls to you at value. So let's start with Tier 1. I'm not doing them 1 through 12 because that doesn't really matter. It all depends on what you feel comfortable with and where you can get these guys in the draft. So at Tier 1, these are my top studs in no particular order. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Anthony Richardson. You heard me, Anthony Richardson. Let's talk about it. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of the top 2 quarterbacks that you're most likely going to draft. Some leagues might have it Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Some leagues might be, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Some of you guys might be Patrick Mahomes and then someone else. But 9 times out of 10, Patrick Mahomes is going to be a top 2 quarterback. So it really decides on where you want to draft him at. In most drafts, he's going in the second round. Now, Patrick Mahomes is pretty much guaranteed to give you 25 to 30 points a game. All these quarterbacks are in my top tier. 25, 30 points a game. And every time he steps on a football field, he has the potential to go for 40 plus points in fantasy. Having that on your team makes you very comfortable. Going against a player like that makes you uncomfortable. But what I'm uncomfortable with is drafting a quarterback in the second round. Yes, once again, he can get you 25 to 35. But passing on a stud running back or stud receiver makes me uneasy. I'm really not comfortable drafting a quarterback in the second round. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. These guys are my top studs. Wherever you feel comfortable drafting them at, I think they're going to return value. But once again, the way how I play fantasy, I'm drafting guys in the later round, and I'm hoping for that diamond in the rough. But these guys won't burn you. Josh Allen obviously has a rushing upside. I know there have stories that came out to say that they want to limit his rushing ability this season. They want to, preserve him for the playoffs. But he still has a cannon. He still has Stephon Diggs. You still got Gabe Davis. You got, the new rookie tight end, Dalton Altacade. So he has weapons on the outside, and he can go for 35 touchdowns to 40 touchdowns in a season easy. But once again, he's going to give you that 500 to 700 yards rushing, 5 to 6 touchdowns on the ground. That's his floor for Josh Allen. He's a stud. He doesn't miss games. He's a bulldozer. And he's somebody you should feel comfortable having on your team. Lamar Jackson got that new contract this year. He shouldn't have any issues on anything other than staying healthy. He got a new weapon in Zay Flowers. You still got Mark Andrews. You got Odell Beckham, who's new to the team. But let's see what he has left in the tank. He's looking good in training camp. He's doing his one-handed catches for Instagram and all that. That's all good. But let's see how he holds up in a 17-game pace. He has Rashad Bateman coming back from injury. I feel comfortable saying that this is probably the best receiving core Lamar Jackson has had since he's been a starting quarterback in the league. We see what he did with MVP year when he had weapons around him. He led the league in touchdowns and ran for over 1,000 yards. I don't think that that's uncanny to do again this year. Now, Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's going to have a Super Bowl hangover. I think that way he's going in drafts right now, which is kind of like the, 4th to 5th round. You can feel comfortable drafting him there. A.J. Brown's a stud. Devontae Smith is a stud. They got weapons on the outside. He's still going to give you that rush ability, just like, Lamar Jackson, just like Josh Allen. He's going to give you a floor of maybe 500 yards rushing and probably 4 or 5 touchdowns, especially when they're on the goal line. That QB sneak that the Philadelphia Eagles run is unstoppable. I don't care who you are. So if they're on the goal line, I understand they signed Rashad Penny, they signed DeAndre Swift, but let me tell you something. If they're on the goal line, Jalen Smith is the goal line back. He's going to score a touchdown every single time. It's unstoppable. I'm trying to tell you. Watch the tape. And last but not least on my tier 1 is Anthony Richardson. He might not even start the season as a starter. That doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care if he plays 17 games. I don't care if it takes 1 or 2 weeks. Gardner Minshew is not the future of this team. Anthony Richardson is. Let them play Gardner for a week or 2 just to kind of give the fans what they want. Let us see what they have. Let Anthony Richardson develop a little bit. Put him in a couple packages. Put him in a couple plays a game. But he's going to play at least 15 to 16 games this year, and that's good enough to put him in my tier 1. The good thing about Anthony Richardson is he's not going, in these top rounds like Lamar, Pat, Josh. You don't have to use him with your second or third pick in your draft. You could punt the quarterback position, grab a bunch of studs, and then grab him later. And once again, like I said, I really don't plan on leaving any fantasy football draft without Anthony Richardson on my team. Now, I'm comfortable with having any one of these 5 guys. I don't really care which one of them I have to draft on my team, but I want at least one of these 5. They're going to go in an early round. So what you want to do is wait to see which one falls to you and then grab whichever one is left, because any one of these guys can be a league winner for you guys and can be the reason why your team wins on any given week. And these are my tier 2 guys. These are once again guys I would feel comfortable with having on my team. I have a little more bust potential, but once again, we're talking about guys like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Dak, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. That's rounding out my tier 2. And once again, I'm confident with having any one of these guys on my team, but depending on where I'm getting at. I'm not going in the high rounds. I'm putting the position and seeing which one of these guys fall to me. Trevor Lawrence, for instance, is a top 10 quarterback last year, and they're adding Calvin Ridley. They still have Christian Kirk. They still have Zay Jones. They brought back Evan Ingram. They still got Travis Etienne. They added Zach Charbonnet. They're a dark horse team to make a Super Bowl push this year. I do think that the offense is going to be running on all cylinders, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be the engine that's keeping them together. Justin Fields obviously has that rushing ability. The last 5 or 6 games of the season, he was a quarterback 3 or better. If he can continue that 17-game pace this year, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback just on rushing ability alone. He could throw for 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns and still be a top 5 quarterback. Rushing quarterbacks have immense value in fantasy football. Obviously, you added DJ Moore. You still got Darren Mooney. We got to see what Chase Claypool is going to be. So his weapons aren't the best, but his rushing ability gives him the ability to be a top 10 quarterback. Kirk Cousins, what you want to say. He's Kirk consistent is what I call him. He's going to give you, 25, 30 touchdowns a year, low interceptions. You still got Justin Jefferson, one of the top receivers in the game. On his side, they signed Jordan Addison. You got DJ Hawkinson. He's got weapons everywhere, and Kirk just gets it done. I mean, there's nothing more you can say. He is consistently disrespected every single year. So every year he's gonna fall to you every year. No one's gonna snipe Kirk Cousins from you. Round out your roster, grab Kirk, have someone with stability on your team. With Dak, he's pretty much the same. He's very consistent. They sign Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup's going to be healthy this year. CeeDee Lamb, we're hoping to take another step up. Tony Pollard coming out of the backfield. He's got weapons everywhere. He doesn't have that top 5 upside, but, top 10, top 12, he's one of the top guys in the league. And he still has that rushing ability. Once again, Zeke isn't going to be the goal line back anymore, and Tony Pollard doesn't really have that build to be the goal line back. So when they're on the goal line, look for Dak Prescott to steal away a few touchdowns. Deshaun Watson, we need to see what he's going to be. I think that he, shook off some of that rust towards the later half of the season. So he's going to be a lot better this year. Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, David Njoku. You got Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the game. All they need to do is put the ball in Deshaun Watson's hands and let him do what he does best, sling it. He definitely has that rushing ability. He's not a Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields type, but he can easily get you 500 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. That's no problem. And then in that division, they're going to be in constant shootouts. And last but not least, Justin Herbert probably has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. The new coordinator, Kellen Moore, wants to throw the ball a lot more. So look to see him bomb the ball down the field to guys like Mike Williams. They drafted Quentin Richardson, who's basically a Mike Williams clone. Keenan Allen is still in there, dinking and dunking. Justin Herbert really can't have a worse year last year. Last year, he was, being drafted as a top 5 quarterback. This year, he's not. Grab that discount when you can, because he's going to have a bounce back year. Buy the dip on Justin Herbert. Once again, with this second tier, I'm not saying that any one of these guys can't be a top 5 quarterback, but it's less likely. But they have stability on your team, somebody you can be confident with. Once again, I would be happy with any one of these quarterbacks on my team as long as I can get them later on in the draft. I want to round out my starting roster. I want to grab a couple of bench pieces, a couple of handcuffs, and then I can pick and choose what quarterback I want. So those are my quarterback rankings for 2023. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. Remember, subscribe to see more content from me and everyone here at Just in Time Media.